Okay, so today we are going to practice inputting chords. So we've got the chord symbols up top. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's sort of like how to get into note entry mode, you hit N. To get into chord entry mode, you hit Control K. I don't know why K. Just think of chords spelt with a K or something. That could be your mental association. And you can basically just enter in the chords as they're written, and they should properly conform. Now, if I want to jump over to the next note, I'm basically just hitting the space bar, and the space bar is basically moving me over one beat at a time. So the next time I have a note is on the third beat of the next measure. So I'll enter in a D7, hit the space bar, and then I can just basically, I'm typing them in, right? So the letter name of the chord, M, lowercase for minor. You could also do this. You could write out the min. It's pretty flexible in what it allows you to do. You can, if you want to add it, like say it was an E sharp chord, if such a thing were to exist, you just do the hashtag E flat, just hit a B and it'll flat it for you. Nice and straightforward. So so I'm just going to space bar to, I must have done something weird. Okay, I'm getting back into my Control K. Oh, there we go. Control K starting on this note, and then I'll get back into my pattern. So C chord, and then space bar to move to the next one, where I have a G chord, and then I've got actually quite a long ways to go until I have another chord. So there's another way that I can move things along too, instead of space bar, is like beat by beat. I could do Control arrow, and that's going to move it measure by measure. So Control arrow all the way here, and then I can enter in D7. Looks like that's going to hold on a while, so Control arrow for that one as well. Let's just do a G chord here, Control arrow, C chord. And this looks a bit more rapid fire, so I'll just space bar my way through the next notes here. Here we go. G, E minor, D7, and then we've got G at the first ending. I might have to reformat that a little bit. Control arrow just to, oh, I went too far. Okay, there we go. All right, so I want to see if I can reposition this a little bit so that they can peacefully coexist. Maybe not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, but I like being a bit finicky with how things appear. There we go. Just moving it out of the way, things pop back into place. I want to make these relatively equivalent lines, so I'll take the G back a little bit further. Something like that. Something like that I think should be good. Okay, so I've got all my chords. Now what I can do with them is I can include them or not in the playback. So if I go to the playback settings in the top right, I have this little check mark for play chord symbols. So right now it's geared to do that. If you have chord symbols and left hand written out, it's going to get mucky. You might want to turn it off, but I want to hear what it sounds like with the chords at about 120 beats per minute. So let's listen through to that. Oh. There we go. I got my chords back. But I do have a wrong chord. I wrote an E major instead of an E minor, so I gotta fix that. So it wasn't immediately clicking in with the chord, so all I did was I like deselected, then reselected play chord symbols, and now everything seems to be working. You notice how my funky little staggered G sounds a little horrible because it actually staggered when it played in the playback. So I'm going to move it back, even though it's a little visually ugly, because I want to make sure that my G chord is actually playing at the right time in good simultaneity. So I'm going to just listen to that, make sure it sounds right. Oh, I lost my chord again. Let me just toggle that on and off. See if that fixes it again. All right, I got my chords back. All right, and then Make sure this one sounds right. Yep, that sounds nice and lined up. So does that one. Okay, problem solved. The only other thing I'll mention today for this is sometimes when we have these wide open spaces with no chords at all, this is how they're typically going to be notated on lead sheets, because it basically, if you have wide open spaces, it means the chord stays the same. We don't need to keep rewriting the same chord over and over. But there's a lot of empty space on the playback. So if you want, maybe what you could do is you could put chords here so we still get them sounding in the playback. Now, one thing I'm curious about if this is a very strange glitch where I kind of have to toggle it on and off. I wonder if we made these invisible so they don't appear in the PDF, if we still hear them in the playback. Yeah, nice. So that solves the problem for having a PDF printout look appropriate. You could just add chords where you want them to sound in the playback. Anyways, that's pretty much all there is to chord input. It's pretty straightforward, except for Musescore. You got to fix this play chord symbols glitch.